Harsh is an atheist coming out of India. Where does consciousness come from? Harsh? Yeah. Where do you think? Where do you think? Real quick. Thank you for calling. Welcome to AXP with Sofia Spina and Johnny P. Where do you think consciousness comes from?
So actually, I don't have the answers, so I'm here.
You're like, wait, what do you guys think?
Yeah. Okay.
So what I mean is that first, I think we should differentiate what's living and non-living. Like when we say something is non-living, it's all made of elements and atoms, and everything just goes with the physics laws. And we are no exceptions, like we are also made of atoms, and we don't have any special, thing going on in us. We are following the same rules that non-living things, such as like a chair would do or our computer would do. But is it really different from what we are? Like, we are the same thing, right? Like,
yeah, when I think about, it's interesting when we were talking about the brain in the box thing. I sort of agree with you, because my thought was the experiences we can say we have when we're talking about something like consciousness are still just physical experiences. They're still made of atoms in the exact same way that a chair is made of atoms.
Yeah.
And it's just that these, it's chemicals reacting together. If we were just a brain in a box, it would still be chemicals reacting together. It'd still be physical experience, not spiritual. And so, yeah, I tend to agree with you. Consciousness, I would say, is just a descriptive term of a specific experience, like happiness is. It's something we experience because of chemical reactions, because of hormones.
Yeah.
But it's all explicable by physical reality.
So, like, we can say that we are non-living or something. I don't know.
I'd say we're a living thing made of potentially non-living components, if an atom isn't considered living.
It's an arrangement of matter,
yeah.
aren't we? We're following the same rules as a chair or a coffee mug or whatever, in the sense that we're still subject to the four forces of nature and what have you. And we're not made out of special material, carbon and various materials. But we're arranged. Oh, I should be careful about saying arranged, because some would say an arrangement presupposes an arranger. I'm not saying that about you, Harsh, but we are configured. Configurer. We are organized. An organizer. We're organized.
We're slapped together by nature, which is the ultimate slapper.
The ultimate slapper. We done got slapped into this shape that has all these complex interconnections, both in our brains and in our bodies and our cells, with dare I say it, amino acids that are interacting with each other in such a way that there is a complex mechanical process, countless processes going on inside of us at any given time. So the question remains, I suppose, could we make a chair and repurpose a chair and put it in the exact same configuration as a human body and make that chair living and conscious? Well, we don't know how to do that. So, who knows? But where does consciousness come from? It seems to...
God knows, right?
Say again?
Nah, nothing. Continue, please.
Very good. Where does consciousness come from? It seems to arise from a particular arrangement of matter. And But
this is still a conspiracy, right? Like, we can't prove that because we don't know other complex things that resemble life. Like, for example, if we build an AI which is complex enough, can we consider it as conscious? Because, like, what can we say about that?
I actually really love questions like this. I assume Johnny does too, because he's dressed up as a sci-fi character. So I think my main question about AI, and this is not a question with a great answer, I'm not an expert in this, is at what point can it experience suffering and be conscious that it's suffering? I think for me, that's an interesting AI question. I don't know if it will ever reach that point or if it will just imitate suffering in a way that we can't tell, and then we're in another ethical quagmire. I think that that's a great question to land on because there's entire fields of study focused on ethics around AI and ethics around experience. But I don't know. This is such a lame answer, is that I don't have an answer, but that's a super interesting and exciting question.
Yeah. I have had conversations about this recently, and I suspect that at some point, maybe not within my lifetime, that we will create synthetic brains that are complex enough that it thinks that it's self-aware, and we will arrange it in such a way where it does our bidding. We will arrange it in such a way where it can't resist, where it will at some point, and someone's probably going to type in Measure of a Man down here in the chat from Star Trek The Next Generation Season 2, but it'll get to the point where we will have created an entity that cannot resist, and then we'll be faced with, we're going far afield of the original point of the call, but
Sorry.
but we'll be faced with acknowledging that we've created a moral conundrum that was totally within our power to never have created to begin with. But we've persisted in the study to develop and sophisticate artificial intelligence. And then we'll be called upon, using our famous moral compass, to not do that anymore. And you know how good humans are about being compassionate for the sufferings of people that are different from them. I think we are setting ourselves up for synthetic slavery in some way. And maybe that's fanciful, but I'm just concerned. I'm just asking questions. So,
I still have one more thing, that when you said that we can build synthetic brain or maybe like consciousness or something, but still we can't prove it that it is, if it is even conscious, like I can't prove that if you are conscious. I mean, it could be just you putting input into my brain and I'm giving output. Like, how will I even start this conversation? How will I know that you
don't
are
know
the real thing?
I guess when I look at it, when I'm thinking about for my own moral choices, I think I can't rely on proof that something I think is suffering is in fact suffering. I can't just say, well, you look like you're in pain, but how do I really know? Personally, I err on the side of, if it looks like it's experiencing pain, if it looks like it can experience pain, then I need to operate as though it can. So I think it puts us in a weird position with AI, because we're going to be trying to see at what level do we consider this consciousness. You know, you're right. It's a great question. But I kind of don't need to wait for proof to start making my own moral choices and start advocating that, hey, if it looks like it experiences pain, if it says it experiences pain, if it has the operational capacity to understand what that might mean, then I will probably start making choices based on the assumption it's telling me the truth. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's going to be different if it ever happens. It's going to be different, but, this conversation I've had with, well, that's going to be a machine, and to, quote Picard, like, we're machines too, of a biochemical nature, as opposed to one made of, silica or, circuitry based. But that I think it's potentially possible. But why do we think that our biochemical organic material is the only format, is the only base material that can give rise to consciousness when it's arranged in a certain configuration? Why? Why couldn't it be other materials?
That's a really good question.
Unless you think that only when there's that a soul can only bond to carbon, right?
Very specific.
Like, why? We don't believe in souls, so yeah. Just a thought. Watch Measure of a Man. I think that's one of the best episodes. Not the only good one on Star Trek The Next Generation, but if you're interested, don't do it if you don't want to, obviously. But we're still learning a lot. We've got some hosts who specialize in this kind of stuff. Shannon Q is a really good one to talk to, and she'll be back at some point, and we will talk about that with her. And she'll have some things. But there's lots of good books on the subject. I don't have any of those books, but I know folks in the chat have books that they would like to recommend. So please do. For this caller, put it in the comments so that the caller can see it, because caller might not be able to get down to chat before the show is over. So thanks a lot for your call.
Yeah, thank you.
Always good questions. You take care. Thank you, Harsh.